Hello everybody, good evening. Welcome to the UI UX orientation session of Food Club. We are under Wynard House. Let me begin with the basics. What is UI UX? UI is user interface, and UX is user experience. By combining these two, we design user experience and interface so that we can captivate the user who is using the platform or any product that we have designed. So I'll give you some examples to simplify what complicated terms I have used here. Here I have two examples. You have to choose which do you think is more expensive. We have a poll here.
The first one.
Yes, please vote in the poll. Alright,
The
so
second one.
the second one. Okay. So the poll I can see the option A. It is really dominating the option B here. We have 14 votes for A and one vote for B in the poll. What we can infer here that people think that A is more expensive and B is less expensive. So, what do you think? What makes the difference here? What is the key element which is okay? So, we see first one because of the presentation. Excellent, exactly, that's the point. The presentation with which the food in A is presented, it's more appealing to the senses. It makes it seem like it is more premium, it is more expensive. Although the quantity of food in A is less, but still, the way it is presented with, we think that it is more expensive. So you can infer here that designing and presentation is so important in any product that we present with. So presentation is very important. Be it anything, be it any product, be it your food, be it your software, be the newspaper, magazines, anything you see. Because the the presentation the presentation with which the designers present the product, it really decides how a user can perceive the product. The A user can perceive it to be very cluttering, very confusing, or the user can perceive the product to be very minimalistic and easy to use, very smooth to use. So it increases the user engagement, the user satisfaction, and the user will keep coming to the product again and again, which will directly impact the loyalty of any person or the user to the product. And this is how the user interface and user designing influences the product relation, influences the businesses around the world. I would like to just this is out of like topic, but there is one company AT&T. So it has sued so many companies all around the world just because uh, all those companies have used the patented shade of magenta. I mean, very close to the patented shade of magenta that they have used. So you can conclude that how important that shade, that particular color is to that company, because people have associated that magenta color with that particular company. So this you can see that like building the building the trust, building the loyalty to the customer, building some relation with them, and so that they keep coming back to you, they keep coming back to your product. It's very important to the businesses around the world because it directly impacts the revenue that they generate and the revenue that their competitors also generate. So, yes, what is design? Uh, can anyone tell what is design to them? I want this to be very interactive session. So, what do you think design is? You can open your mic and answer.
It can be called as a way to, present something to somebody.
Mhm. This definition directly is related to user interface and design. Yes, how you present something. Design is how you present your ideas, how you present your thoughts and the vision you have created in your mind into a material, into a product, or on the canvas for the artists. So again, I have a poll for you. Which menu do you think is more readable here? Like, which menu do you think you would like to read and is more presentable to you and seems more expensive, more premium?
Second one, I guess. Option B.
Okay, so we have a lot of votes for B and not anything for A. So what we can infer here is that, okay, so let me just differentiate this for you. The menu of A, it has a lot of information on it, but the menu on B, it has lesser amount of information on it, very less information on it. Yet you all have selected that B is more readable, more interactive, more friendly, and something you want to read through because it's more catchy. So this is also an example like B, the menu B, it grabbed your attention immediately, but A, although it had a lot of options, it did not. So this tells us something about the human psychology that humans can perceive only a limited amount of information in one go, and if you give them excess of information, their mind will be what can we say, overwhelmed by the information, and let's say they will be bored of it. They would not like they would not like it very much. They will think it is confusing. So what we want to do is not confuse the user, but to make them see that the product that we have, it is more friendly to them and something that they want to interact with, and which catches their attention most of all. We really want to grab the human mind's attention. So companies all around the world, you see, we all humans are so different from each other. We all are different from each other, the way we think, the way we perceive the world, but some things are very common between us. Well, five things are very common between us that are our five senses. So reading, hearing, and touch, your smell senses. So your five senses are something common between humans, and the companies, they want to capitalize on the senses that you have, because that's the only way that they can unite humans in a group. Like all humans, they have a common brain. They have a certain common, what we say, primal brain. And so the primal brain, it is same for all of us, but the exterior thought, the conscious mind is different for all of us, but the subconscious is same for all of us. So they are really tapping into your subconscious thought. They are really tapping into your what we say is a submerged consciousness that you cannot see, that is not visible in day to day life, but still it can be like we see different examples of it in our day to day life. For example, I think we all are a victim of doom scrolling on Instagram, if you have ever used it. So it is it gives you instant dopamine hit. Now dopamine is something which is common between all of us, so it is easier for uh, these tech giants to narrow down onto one factor and monetize onto this one factor entirely. This is cheaper for them as well. So yes, they do this. Okay, so this is something I wrote, I just picked up from the internet. So a limited menu, as we see in the, saw in the previous example, the limited menu here defines the restaurant concept. For example, this is centered around burgers. So we have Burger Kings. For example, we have Burger Kings. So you know that it is the majority of the food item that you have there is burger. So what this does is that people have a limited option to choose from, and the company has a limited option, which means they can really save their resources. They can only invest in one thing and like market it to all of the others. So less is more. They are tapping all of their energy onto one thing, and they are capitalizing on that single one thing, on that one single thing. So this increases their return of investment, reduces the food cost, and it is easier to market. Like if they have one clear goal, so it is easier to market one clear goal to all of the human population. Okay, so I think we all have used search engines in our life. So here I have two examples of search engines. This is Google and this is Yahoo. So, what's the key difference between these two? What do you think? Like the information here, what is more readable to you, or what is more interactive? What is something that does not confuses you? Like Google and Yahoo. What do you think?
Google.
Okay, Google. I think that Google is a common answer for all of us. Why?
Yeah,
Because
but I mean, it's not a fair comparison, right? Because Yahoo has all of the information in it, and the Google site is just
can
like
you
a
be
search
more
engine.
allowed? Sorry, Aditya, I am not able to hear you. And your
Yeah,
voice.
yeah. I meant, am I audible now?
Yes, yes, now you are.
Yeah, what I meant to say was that I don't think it's kind of a fair comparison between the two images that he showed us, because while Yahoo has a lot of information, it has news on one side, it has weather report on another side, and the image you showed us of Google, it was just a minimalistic search bar with, the search button and just language options and everything. I mean, if you were to pick up the Google Discover page, I mean, I guess we could have, actually see the difference between them. But as far as readability is concerned, obviously, since Google does not have the information that Yahoo presented in this image, so obviously it's kind of a very biased answer that Google would be that we would be presented with.
You actually answered my question here. I mean, what I wanted to say to you all. So, this page that you saw, this is Yahoo's main page, and the other page that I presented, it is Google's main page. So, yes, Google Discover, like even if I go there, it has less chaos, but still, let's keep all that aside. What I wanted to show here is Yahoo and Google both are search engines, and Google having their search bar here as main focus, it really determines their, it really verifies what they stand for, what their actual motto is, what they actually are. Having the search bar in the center, it really shows us that it is a search bar, like it's a search engine, it's a main search engine. Their primary focus is a search engine. On the top on the top right corner, you can see other different, excuse me, other different services of Google, Gmail, images, and all. These are secondary things that Google offers. Excuse me. But uh, the having the search bar as the center of attraction in their page, it really verifies what they stand for. While Yahoo, Yahoo has the search bar like not on the center of the page, on the top, and we have a lot of things here. It is, let me tell you, this is not a Yahoo Discover or any other thing. It is Yahoo's main page. The moment you search yahoo.com, this will what it would show, what this would be showing you. and this would be what Google would be showing you. So this really tells you what the main focus of the company is. Uh, like that's all I would want to say. Aditya, if you want to say anything else, please. I would be really happy to hear any other thing you have in
No,
your
no.
head.
It was just something I noticed. I mean, obviously you're right. This Google, I obviously you're right about all of this. The search bar being the main part of the screen and what they stand for, everything. I absolutely agree with that. I mean, yes, obviously Yahoo looks a lot more cluttered than this Google thing. It takes the shift from the main focus of the web page to other things, and that may be detrimental to their USP. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you. And yes, if I go to Google Discover, I'm sure there would be chaos, but uh, people have like companies have to design what chaos they want to present, so that's up to them. This is the example I wanted to show you. Like the main focal point of these companies, both are search engines, yet they are so different. Okay. So, no, that's different. Okay, what is UX? So, UX is user experience, like how smooth your product is to use, how smooth it is for the user to communicate with your product, and how accessible it is, how accessible your buttons are, and all. So that is the UX. Like even if you design a toy, how easy it is to use. Even if you design even if you design like how you present your food, that is also experience, that is also user experience. You are about to enhance the user experience. And but how you use the color, like in the like the palette that you have in food, the colors that you use, that is user interface, because the color theory, it actually falls into the interactiveness, how intriguing the colors are. For example, you are using a lot of yellow, so that really enhances your appetite. If you're using blue, your appetite will be like slightly reduced, because blue is not a very appetite friendly color. So you see, companies like Swiggy and Zomato, they use shades of yellow and red, so that influences your appetite, like that triggers something in your brain, that like more appealing towards the food. If they had used blue, so it would be not that good. The results would not have been that good, because blue is a very calming color. It calms your senses. Green is also a very calming color. It soothes you. When you go outside in nature and see green, your senses are calm. When you see the sky, your senses are calm. So that is let's say not a very triggering color. While red is a triggering color, yellow is a triggering color. So yes, that is what is user interface and user experience. So this is like a chart which differentiates between the two. So I will just okay, UI prototyping. I think this I have switched something, but okay, so as I said, that wireframing and customer analysis, doing a lot of research, that is on the experience part, because you have to do the market research on your product, on the competitor, and other things that you have in the market, the problem you are trying to solve. So that is user experience, and how you present it, the structure, strategy, and analysis, color coordination, font that you are using, that falls under UI. So UX designers are problem solvers who are strategizing, who are placing the buttons, and who are wireframing the product, who are designing, like when you click this button you will be redirected to that page or this page. So that falls under the domain of UX designers, while the UI designers, they select the color of the button, or the font of the buttons, and the font of the text and other visual elements. And UI UX designers, as we are trying to tell you here, They are the people who combine these two. They are the brain who have the forte in these two domains, both of them. So they can do their market research, the analysis of their competitors, as well as they can bioframe and color code your product. They can uh, they can do all the things that fall in that domain that combines the UI and UX, which means that they. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm a bit sick. So yes, so they do both the things. They illustrate and also they make the skeleton of the product. So yes, this is an example here I have placed. It is around the food app. So the UI element, well, it focuses on designing the food item. For example, you see food on Swiggy and Zomato. So when they place it on a white background, it looks more aesthetically pleasing rather than on the kitchen table or any, like, say, random element or even bed sheet. So it's not like that visually appealing. But in when you place it attractively, aesthetically, and the images are clear. Key point: the images are clear and very attractive, and the elements are very user friendly to navigate. The menus are very clear, and as soon as you click on the drop button, the menu drops and all. It does all the cool stuff. So that is focus of the UI. While the UX, yeah, as I said, on clicking the buttons, so how the app will navigate from page to page, tracking all the orders and other, like the wireframing of the product. As I said, wireframing means that designing the structure, dhacha, skeleton of the product. So yes, this is what I meant by wireframing, like placing boxes where the font, where the text will go, where the image will go. So that comes under the UX, and then building upon the UX, the UI, what it does is places the fonts, pictures, and all, the color of the buttons, the font of the text. So that goes with the UI. Is that clear? Or if you have any doubt, please ask. Oh, okay, if it's clear, then good. If you have any question, you can always ask in the chat box or open your mic and speak. So yeah, some this is the meme that I presented in the previous orientation as well. So sometimes there is a dilemma that is faced by the designers, that I want to make appealing visuals, I want to make beautiful visuals, but I also have to make a functional design. You can think of this as the dilemma between the architect and the engineer. Like architects, they design beautiful buildings, but they are not easy to build. So beautiful buildings, but easy to build. So uh, it is a struggle, and we have to come in between the bridge. Like we have to bridge these two ends and come in the middle of it. Like make the beautiful visuals and also making the functional design, which is easy to navigate and easy to build, because otherwise the like the web developers and the software developers, they will go nuts. So yeah, user flow, this is done by this falls under the domain of user experience, like where you start and how the user flow goes. Like we do wireframing, we do prototyping. So we basically do this, like how the user flow will be designed. So this is an example of a shopping website. So this is algorithm or flow chart as we create. User flow is flow chart. So this is the basics of designing the skeleton. So the skeleton starts from head and then goes till the tail. So empathy and user-centric design. Well, when you have to tap the insect, when you have to trap the insect, you have to think like the insect. Well, I'm not trying to derogate anyone here, but uh, when you have to trap someone, you have to think like them. Like what are their weaknesses, what are their strengths. So when you are empathetic, when you think yourself into their shoes, when you think like a user, when you are empathetic towards the user, then you can make a user-centric design because you are thinking like them. So you can, so you know what they will be getting trapped by. Do they like this? Do they like that? So that's where user-centric design comes from. Now you must be maybe question comes to your mind that people have different preferences. How will we know that there is something common between these two? Like by this thing, we would have to design different kind of app for different people. But uh, at the start of the lecture, I told you that there is psychology that these big tech giants tap into. They know that there is something common between us human beings, that is our five senses, and all of the people, well, the majority of the people, uh, they are uh, they are the slaves of their senses. So it is easier to tap these slaves into your own domain. Very few people are not influenced by their senses, those who are able to control it. But rest of us, 95 or 98% of the people on this earth, are a victim of their senses. Like they get easily distracted by their senses. So yes, when you are able to know the weaknesses of them, then you can easily attract them. Well, UCD is a yeah, as I said, waying of fancy way of saying that we design things with the user's mind. We think like the user, and we make the customizations according to the user. Well, not according to the user, but according to the human psychology of the user. And human psychology, it's common for all of us because all of us have the single primal brain that we inherited from our ancestors. Yeah. So sometimes this is also one thing that when we conduct user research, when we conduct the research in the market, we see a common trend, and we convey this to our client. But the client says that no, we do not want to do this, but we want to do something else, which means that you cannot follow exactly what the user says, and you have to follow your client. But most of the designers, this is a complicated problem for them. So what they do is they again draw a bridge between these two. They come in the middle, they negotiate, they they found some middle ground in these two, like what the user demands and what the requirement of the client are, or opinion of them are. Because sometimes there are budget restrictions also. So we have that's the beauty of designing. Like you have some restrictions and you have to design in those restrictions. So yes, this is a common design process that we have. So when you have to design something, for example, even if you want to make a shoe, you will have to research what kind of materials there are, what kinds of like what are the shoes, what are the size of feet that you have in the market, what's the majority of them. So yes, you have to conduct your research at first. Then what you do, you make a design on paper. So then what you do, you make a design of it on the paper, like what you like your product to be. Like you have an idea in your mind and you want to make it reality. So what the first step you do, you make a design of it on the paper. Then what you do, you make a first prototype, which means you make a sample of the shoe. Then what you do is you give it to someone to wear so that they can tell what are the weaknesses and what are the strengths of the shoe. For example, if the sole is too harsh for their feet, if feel the shoe, like the shoe neck is too restricting for them, and so you make the necessary changes, you implement them. It is a common cycle, like the product cycles through this. And like companies, this is something common you will see in your day-to-day life also. You see updates of the apps you have. So majority of the updates are bug fixes, but sometimes companies totally change the, like how the product appeals to you. So that's because that product goes through this cycle: constant research, designing, prototyping, testing, and implementation. Excuse me. This is a common cycle that any product that wants to stay in the market has to adapt to, because in the changing world we are living in, we have to change the product constantly. Then, yeah, these are the steps for designing the product. So basically the same as this. Well, that's it for today, and you can ask your questions now. Also, we have some questions for you as well. So I think I'll go first, like the questions that I have designed. Okay, so we want to conduct the sessions in English itself. We will be doing that, and okay, we will be clearing the psychology of. So in the next session, we would be clearing the psychology behind the UI UX, because this psychology is something which is common between all of us, and it is used by designers all around the world and tech giants companies or other organizations around the world to tap into the user's mind, to trap them, to basically honey trap them. That's something I'm saying without sugarcoating. So yes, this is something I think you all should really learn. It is something interesting actually. You would like this session, I know. Thank you, everyone. We would be conducting next session soon. Like next week, we would be having session on Saturday itself, same time. And for those who would not be able to attend or they want to revise the concept, we would have the recording available on the YouTube channel, and the link would be shared in the WhatsApp group itself. If you have any additional questions, you're free to ask, and yes, I'll be very willing to answer them. Thank you, everyone. I'll be closing the recording now.